All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and praise the Lord. It's wonderful to be back again after 2 weeks of break in Matthew's Coffee Bar, the place where we chill out, talk, and get controversial, go for one another's neck when it's necessary. This is a place where we talk about everything and anything for the purposes of sharpening one another and just keeping one another up to speed with what is happening with our world and what is going on. We are men of God, of course, trust to me, will stay inside the confines of God's word. But it's always exciting and wonderful to be able to have this conversation on Wednesdays. I want to begin to say I am very sorry. We are coming in late, really late. We're supposed to start at 8 o'clock. But we had a prayer meeting that kind of just went just slightly beyond 8 o'clock, and of course setting up blah blah blah, and then of course here we are. But we have enough time to be able to kind of just discuss one or two things before we can call it a night. I want to just say thank you so much for those of you that have been tuned in and that have been patient enough to wait up to this time. My name is Reverend Mathew Wambua, and I'm your host tonight. I've got me, my friends, of course, as usual, the one and only David Ewagata, yours truly, the man that has languages that you need a dictionary to decipher, because when he wants to go pidgin, he goes. When he wants to talk Luya, I don't know. But anyway, we will get to know one of his time days. He is in with me on this panel, and I'm really looking forward to having a great time with him. And of course, I have with me the rabbi. This man is full of scripture and theology, I can assure you. And this is none other than Pastor Michael Musembi from the Ruach Assemblies in with me, looking forward to have a great conversation with him. And of course, yours truly, the man from 2 UKs. Well, this one is from 1 UK. That is United Kisumu, the man of gadgets. I don't know how many are in his table right now, but this is none other but my friend Ken Odor. Great to always have him on board. Absolutely fantastic. And he speaks it as it is, says it as he sees it. And that's the essence of this conversation. A lot of other guys are going to be logging in as we move forward. We are talking about the likes of Odima, all the way from the UK, Gitao, and Emmanuel Kokonyo, Mahambala, the likes of Michelle. They're going to be logging in briefly, even as we move forward. And we are looking forward to have them over, even as we continue in our conversation. Well, it's wonderful, guys, to be back again. I'm truly excited. I've also taken a break, and not like Jeff Koinange, like working from home because of COVID-19. No, I don't. I just that I had to take a break and rest, and it's been wonderful and fantastic to be able to rest. Really, it's been wonderful, and I'm just having a great time these couple of weeks that I've been able to rest. Well, welcome on board, guys. It's great to have you here. Open your heart. Let's get to talk. Of course, our sister Peggy cannot be with us. She's not been feeling well, but we will continue to pray for her. Richard also will be joining us, hopefully somewhere down towards as we come to wrapping up this program. But then I've got these brains, these mighty men of God here. Trust to me, they are lauded and they have a lot to say. And as we do that, I am sure you will get blessed. Start a watch party, invite your friends, and please comment, please disagree, agree with that, pat us on the back, say that's right, say that's wrong, say no, I don't agree. That's what this whole conversation is all about. We're not scared of being challenged or criticized. We want to have a good conversation and be a blessing and a help one to another. Well, guys, here we are. It's been a long time. David, what have you been up to? Can we start with you?
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here again. Thank you for hosting us here. It's a joy to be able to just connect again and talk about the things that are affecting us. I think the last couple of weeks have been busy, I think, on all fronts, just trying to settle into this season, trying to establish some routines around this, and also just getting to build more practical avenues for discipling young people on the online platform. I think that's the big challenge that we are now looking at. How do we disciple, and how do we measure discipleship when you're not physically meeting? And so just looking at those dynamics, spending good time with family as well. Seeing the young people grow. My son turned 15 on Monday. So I told him he has only 15 years to being 30 years old. So he's...
Okay. Yes.
Great milestones. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I mean, I've seen, of course, I've been once in a while popping in to see you with the why hub?
Yes.
Yes, great work you're doing with the course. And man, you kept her beautiful, man. What have you been doing with her? What are you feeding her on?
She was an original Ninio. The DNA was original. It was organic, authentic. Yeah.
What is wonderful?
As we say, chuma imestand.
Yo, ukambani zinatokanga chuma zimestana. Hata wewe unakubali.
No manure added. No chemicals used. Organic.
Yeah.
Chuma dosh.
Welcome, Kokonyo. Is just vlogging. Kokonyo, it's great to have you on. I hope you have your new lady and Mangeli Michelle. It's wonderful to have you on. Great. Awesome.
Thank you.
Good. Karibuni sana. Karibuni sana. We're just catching up before we get into the heated debate. Ken, what have you been up to? And you're looking sharp in blue, man.
It's thank you for the compliment, but it's my nature. I just love looking sharp.
I feel you.
Yeah, nothing really much. I've just been trying as much as I can to also try to reach out to as many people as possible. I began a YouTube channel just the other day, and also a Facebook page. Someone told me, what I've written right there is making some people from Central, find it difficult to read what I've said. But it's written, it's just written in a very simple manner. Growing and glowing with God as your guide. So I had them saying glowing and glowing and glowing with God. I just said, fine, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We understand. We understand. But it's just my desire to, also get into the space where that has been provided. I try as much as I can to be relevant to the people that are following me, people that I know listen to me outside there. Yeah. And so, it's trying to get content as much as I can and just to be able to feed the people of God, and occupy that space. Because if you're not careful, you might expire. With this COVID-19, you must try your level best to remain relevant all through. So it is dangerous to find a man of God who does not know how to use Facebook or YouTube. And in the time they need to embrace that and just be able to remain afloat. Thank you.
All right. Ken, it was great to have you on board, Ken. Always a joy and a great blessing. Kokonyo, what have you been up to?
Yes, Paps, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Yes, Paps. Well, I've been doing well, but busy up and down. When Corona knocked the doors and came in, and it was like, let's shut the places of worship down. I thought we have all the time to rest. Yeah. I've never been as busy as this particular time. Yes. And of course, I've not been shutting the doors of our church office, and I've been meeting with the people. Yes. Even right now is the time I've been coming back in the house, because we are hosting the Nairobi North Region Business Summit tomorrow, starting 7 to 9. So I was in the church trying to make sure that everything is set, because it's going to be a virtual conference. So it has been up and down. But the grace of God has been sufficient, my brother.
You're right.
Amen.
So you're hosting a men's conference, a virtual men's conference, starting at 7 o'clock. Is that 7 in the morning?
No. 7 in the evening. 7 in the evening. Actually,
invite them.
Yes, all men and women now. I was told that even women are invited to connect, to listen, and take whatever they can take to better their business.
All right. I hear you.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
the
Karibu
the
sana.
the likes of Bishop J.B. Masinde. He'll be the speaker. Actually, he'll be the main speaker. Then a gentleman by the name of Radido, and of course our own Mohammed Kamwaru, the Bishop of Kitengela, will
All right.
also be speaking, and others too. So it's going to be great. You have Bishop Jimmy and Bishop Robert Zimba too.
All right. Michael,
Yes, sir.
it's great to have you. And as always, I love just tapping your wealth of knowledge, especially in the theological field. Karibu sana, what have you been up to?
I've been up to Donholm, DC.
Maybe I should
I've been with my learned scholar. I've been with my learned scholar Kenneth Oduorodipo.
Yes, I'm telling you.
Yes,
Okay.
but yes, I've been kuongeza maarifa, like my brother said. A leader is a reader, and a reader is a leader. Depending on where you come from in this nation, they all sound the same.
You have hacked. Hapo umehack. You umehack.
A reader is a reader. But yes, I've been trying to keep busy. Like with my brother Ken, I have a YouTube channel. I'm posting discipleship stuff there, trying to disciple the world for Jesus and keep myself relevant, and also pour out everything that the Lord has poured into me, the coming generations, so that we can all get to the unity of the faith.
Okay.
Yes.
It's wonderful. This YouTube channel, what do you call it? If we go to YouTube, what do I search?
Yes, it is. It is that one right there. It is that one right there.
Oh, BBQ. Or is it barbecue?
Bible benchmark.
Okay.
Yes, so I try to address theological issues on it, things that sometimes we can find challenging even to address from pulpits.
Yes.
But I'm putting it up there, and for anyone who's interested in it, and we can always liaise and grow to the unity of the faith.
Awesome.
Yes.
Ken, what is your channel? Your channel is what was that again?
My channel is just simple. It's simply my name. It's just simply my name, Rev Ken Oduor.
Okay. If you search for that, you get your YouTube channel.
Yes, you will.
Okay. I've got lots of people that are already listening and following us, and it's great to know. I mean, they may want to listen to your material, and then, of course, be able to interact with it, and it's good to inform them where you are at. Well, it's great to have Gitau in the house. Karibu sana Gitau. I called you, ukalenga simu yangu, na Mungu akubariki.
I was driving.
And, sorry.
The last time, actually, 2 years, no, I lie. The last time I was in Nairobi, not this previous one, I think it was around 2012.
Yes.
I got arrested in Nairobi for driving while using the mobile phone.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and I had to, and actually I blame it on Oscar because he rang me when I was driving to go and see him in Umoja. So unbeknown to me, because when I was out of the country and I didn't know that laws had changed. So I was happily driving down past the junction between Kariobangi, and on your right you're going to Buruburu. So I was stopped there. And I didn't know how to cooperate. So I found myself eventually being fined 6,000 shillings because I did not know how to cooperate. So, so I didn't want to risk it again. Yeah.
That's how you cooperated, by paying 2,000.
it, and it's actually coming from another country that is saying it, would it be on the flip side if someone of the color would have said it? Because to me, that's my challenge. Why can't they just allow her to continue? But I know the powers that be cannot allow her. To an extent, she concluded by saying, I am hopeful that I will not be silenced. And there you can be silenced in many ways. They can actually decide to, to make sure that humanity meets divinity, or they can actually decide to bar you from practicing medicine again from that place, or you're told to leave the country if you're not really an American citizen, or they'll just find out something to be able to bring you down. But people should just listen to what this woman is saying. Let's do the testings and what have you. Because me, either chloroquine, whatever, I've used them for years. The missions have been going to different countries here for over 15 years. I've never been admitted for malaria at any time because I've already built an immune system. So anyway, that's just my sense there. Thank you.
Okay, just before we go on, let me just appreciate, number one, I apologize to our Facebook viewers. Looks like a good number of the time you guys who are not hearing us, but I think the sound has been sorted out. So I can see sound is back, and I want to say very, very, very big apologies. Sorry, but I do want to appreciate Paul Yongo, Joyce Smiley Kadak, and everyone with you that's watching. Julius Gatu was saying the studio no sounds idea. Then Lois Kambui tuned in, sound. I saw that, and I not noticed that. And someone actually, Lois is saying the devil is a liar. Let's hold on, people. Sound it out in Jesus' name. I think that's a great disciple right there. And then, of course, a lot of people just talking about, so Father, we thank you for this program. We know that someone is praying for us. That's really wonderful. We have Richard Kagoya watching. We have Letitia Sauke, happy. Julius Gato is watching. Kehiko watching. All right, Caris Timas is watching. Manuel Oma is watching. Happy. Okay, Sawa. Let me just see whether any one of you just go ahead and just hit there. Let's know whether your sound is back, guys, so that we will not. Yes, I can see Lois Kemboi is appreciated. The sound is back. Thank you. The sound is okay. Rachel Wambua, Letitia, and so on and so. Thank you, guys. I was just wondering what was going on. Sorry, guys. We've gotten it back. These technical things, blah blah blah, and I'm glad. Keep on coming. Keep on bringing your comments. Let's hear what you got. What your take is. We are in support of our sister Stella Emmanuel, who is saying chloroquine has worked because she has treated people in Africa with it, and it has worked before. Well, thank you very much, Ken, for your contribution right there. We absolutely appreciate. And to be honest, it's actually, to an African, to a Kenyan, it's actually a shocker that suddenly now, and what guys, what I'm actually getting lost in is this. Okay, fine. The Americans can have their controversy and argue their arguments. And the British can have their own, because of course you cannot just buy off the counter. It's a prescription drug, and of course they have got their own rules, and their CDCs that control, the FDAs that control drugs and stuff. But here in Kenya, here in Africa, where we actually have people dying, I'm actually wondering, why did someone just suggested go on a chemist, buy some chloroquine or camoquine, take 2 in a week, as a preventive measure? Who knows? This thing can work. I just listened to that guy that day say, it causes arrhythmia. That has been proven. Where? Is it in Kenya or in America? And not just my pain here, that this could be something that is efficacious, that's helpful, but we are not giving it the time to be able to test it and check it out on our own. Because here is where we have used quinine and chloroquine and camoquines and all the quins, and they've worked for us. I am lost in terms of why we don't seem to give it a shot. We just want to keep on telling people this when this number has died, the number is rising, people are dying. I mean, seriously speaking, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like a conspiracy that has not only been brewed in the US, but seems to be shared across the board. But I heard the other day, I don't know whether that can be confirmed. I think France has started using it to treat their patients. I don't know. Kokonya, are we back? Kokonya, is your sound back? Can you hear us?
Chakula bado hajamaliza kazi.
Kunywa maji, kunywa maji.
Atafuta njugu ndugu yangu.
Okay. We'll wait for him to kind of just sort himself out as we move on, because it really looked like we had a serious problem with sound there.
One thing I think.
Yes, go on, Mike.
I was going to say one thing I think that we also must admit is what our brother shared.
Yeah.
That whether we'd like to admit it or not, this is not just COVID, but there's also political whatevers. America, like he said, is coming into an election year. And so politics is going to be played. And there are very big players in these things. Yeah? So I don't know whether we the biggest companies in the world, whether like they say, the S&P 500 companies, those ones that make, they are the ones that run the economy, are dwarfed by the profits of pharmaceutical companies. Yeah. A company like, is it Aetna? In 3 months, Aetna can make, and this is profit after they've paid off everything. They've paid off their workers, they've given away bonuses, they can make up to the tune of what, 80, 90 billion US dollars, and that is just 3 months. When it is that big, no little Cameroonian woman over there is going to come out and start challenging companies like that. In fact, I was just looking at it over here, large pharmaceutical companies. And they were saying just the year 2018, their combined net brought in about 11.7 trillion US dollars. When you're talking about that kind of money, that is money that topples governments.
Yeah.
That money. So even if that woman comes out and says A, B, C, D, even a person like Trump will have to bow down to that kind of money.
Yeah.
And when it comes to those kind of things, even Bill Gates is a sand in the seashore when you're talking about that kind of money. So this thing is as much political, as much as it is social, and as much as it is also a pandemic. Why are the Chinese quiet now? We're not really hearing the Chinese. What are they doing under the radar? We don't know. This thing, only the Lord in heaven, the triune God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost knows what's going on.
My frustration is this, Mike. Man, we've been praying since March. We've been praying. We have an army of brothers and sisters praying 24/7 for this thing to go down, for people to go back to their lives. But when you begin to see some of these controversies, you begin to ask yourself, is there something beyond what we know? And someone can argue all they want, but the reality is this: a drug that has been present for 65 plus years, and it actually was licensed by FDA, the federal, I don't know what a drug whatsoever. It's being used. Nobody has ever raised an issue. Then suddenly, boom! Now it is causing all kinds of side effects and whatever. And these doctors, in fact, is it Ken or is it Michelle who just posted there that the lady was leading that and he has been fired? It just tells you how much politics is being played around this thing. And I don't know, guys. This wasn't really my main major point of discussion. I wanted us to pick on something else. But I mean, I am actually lost here because lives are being lost. People are dying, you know, and thank God, 80% of Kenyans are symptomatic, you know, it's like kama Jeff Koinange, you know, nikakozi tu kidogo tu na lack of test na yeye anaendelea na kazi, you know. And that is positive in the sense that then a lot won't die, except for the fact that they become a risk to others because they don't know that they carry this thing. But we still have close. I don't know how many died today, but at least last I checked, last night it was, I think, 380 something people. Those are lives lost, people. And my point is this: if the government of Kenya, even alone America and everyone, because you see when Madagascar decided kuna ile mtishamba ambao walikuwa tunalima huko inaweza ponya, walikaziwa, you know, people made noise and everything. but Madagascar say tonight yet tunaweza tibu. I mean, why wouldn't the Kenyan government and the Kenyan leaders say, guys, why don't we have used anti-malarials here, we have used chloroquine, we have used hydroxychloroquine. Why don't we just give it to guys, or even suggest to the populace? It won't. See, Trump alisema alikunywa 14 days. In fact, this lady was saying, I want for Uchi to give me his urine, ni test. Kama yeye atumii kitu ni kukudanganya na to enjoy. You know, she was that in their face sort of thing.
She was asking for his pee sample.
Anataka mgonjwa wake anasema nataka kuipima. Kama
hydroxychloroquine.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm just wondering why is CS Mutai and everyone else giving this thing a shot, giving it a try, you know?
I think Rev, we have a problem. We got independence physically, but mentally we are still colonized. So we are stuck at a place where we cannot think for ourselves. When desperate times come, desperate measures are taken. And I think what Ken Odori is saying, how can you be having medicine and you're saying stop the medicine? Right now, if you tell me raw eggs will cure corona, Jama, with the taste and everything, I will take raw eggs. Okay? Because because ya kweli, you will take it. And so, for a proven medicine that has been used in the tropics for years, 65 years plus, I wouldn't even second guess myself. All right? Now, the other thing that I'm asking, the Queen got corona, she got healed. Boris Johnson got corona, she got healed. The Brazilian president got corona, she got healed. Walitumia nini?
Mikel Arteta, our coach, got corona, got healed. And
there are those guys who are symptomatic, but these guys were in ICU.
Yes.
So what did they use? And why are we not being told this is what they used and this is what worked? And that is why this Dr. Stella was saying, check with these guys if they have not taken this thing. Let us do a urine test. So there's something sinister going on that we are not being, and I think even from the beginning when this thing began and we started this conversation, we were saying things are not adding up. Up to now, I think if we were to look at the total COVID fatalities, it's about what, 600K or so, or 700? I've not checked the total fatalities. I know right now at Google wako hapo wanaangalia. Cancer has already hit over 5 million people as we speak.
Yes.
All right? That is a discrepancy of 10 times the numbers of COVID cases. Why have we never shut down the world because of cancer? Why have we never shut down the world? Today, as we speak, we are very sad, and it's a saddening thing that we've lost almost 400 lives in Kenya from COVID-19. Every day, if you look at the statistics, Kenya loses about 1,200 and almost 1,300 people every day. By the time we go to sleep tonight, we'll have lost 1,300 people. Nobody is saying every day. That is your average statistic of how many people die in Kenya every day. Nobody is saying what else is killing us. We're just saying COVID-19 has killed 300 people. That is a quarter of the people who die in a day. Now, we're not saying it's a bad thing to keep the numbers, but I'm saying if 1,200 people have died in a day and 300 and something people have died in half a year, we need to investigate what is killing us in a day, not what is killing us in a year.
Yeah.
So those are the discrepancies that we see, and we've locked down our economy. People have suffered because of this. We are not looking at the gross impact of this. If at the end of this year, we have only let's even say that 50,000 cases that we had been told would be higher, but our economy is broken. Our children are at home. They have not gone to school. Our children cannot play sports. Our children cannot interact with their friends. Our children cannot go to church. 4 critical components: faith, socialization, education, and extracurricular activity. Our children cannot engage in those 4 key areas. Right now, they are becoming maladjusted socially. They don't know how to relate with people as we speak because they're not used to that experience. Education has stalled. They are idle. And we already know, even for adults, when we are idle, it's a problem. Now you've taken all the adrenaline of a teenager and left it on free.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at this and I'm saying, we are facing a disaster on the sociological side, on the mental side, on the economic side, that COVID cannot justify. And unless we begin, and that is why whenever a cure is talked about, everyone is like, no, don't talk about a cure. We don't have a cure. Because by the end of this year, if we go the way we are going, we will have lost economies. We will have lost, already our children cannot do their Form 4. The larger percentage of, except for the few who can afford private schools, the country of Kenya cannot have their candidates do exams. Think of the psychological effect of that. Think of the morale. Think about the social impact of this. We're already talking teenage pregnancies. We've not even talked about the suicides. We've not even talked about the depression. We've not talked about the dramas that are in homes right now, marriages that are breaking up because
domestic violence.
We will see a catastrophe on the sociological side of this thing that we cannot equalize with what COVID has done, especially in our continent. So, my friends, we might be talking about this medicine and all these things, but I think there is a scheme that is going to destroy our generation that is coming, thanks to just an assumption that this is good. And we are dealing with presuppositions. We assumed in April we will reach 10,000. Oh, it's coming in September. We have reached August. We are still at 20,000. But we will reach January and we will be here, still locked down. May the Lord help us.
Like there are certain numbers that we must reach before we can, I don't know, win a medal or something. I mean, seriously.
There's a quarter. There's a quarter we must hit. There's a certain quarter we must hit.
Yeah.
Yes. Rev, I'm concerned because
yes.
Rev, I'm concerned because in our own context, there's something that Wagata said. We are neo-colonized. And this is yes. Apparently in Kenya, we have appetite of capitalizing on unfortunate events.
Yeah.
If Kenya was a person who would say we will not shy away kukula pesa ya matanga na mazishi. When people are dying, people are actually capitalizing on this. Kuna gorofa zinajengwa COVID-19. Kuna mashamba yananunuliwa COVID-19. Kuna mtu anatengeneza future yake kutegemea COVID-19. Now, if they hear there's a pass opened from WHO or from any donor from the Western country that says, guys, if the numbers keep building, we'll give you support, 100 billion. Do you think they will sing a different story and sing a different song from what their masters are singing? Because WHO said hydrochloroquine is not accepted. So now we cannot stand here and say that it works because the money, the Kamurija will be cut off. And that's what is actually at play. Because nobody has asked, why can't we practice it here so that we see what happens? You cannot sing a different story from your master. When WHO is giving you money, you must sing their tune. That's what is happening right now.
Well, let me just appreciate some guys that are just logging in. I think when we had lost sound, we had lost a good number of people. But I've Rachel Wambua on, I've Radido Shedra, Karibu Sana, Radido, David George, Alice Bonyo, Violet Lodeni. Happy saying amen, my Rev. Pina Makoha is watching, Ross Kemurimi, Daniel Tei, Samuel Murillo. Paula Christina Aramide, who is watching, Karibuni Dixon Ontigo, Kenron Lembaga Monayo, Karibu Sana, Nicholas Mzalendo Mwenye. Thank you so much, Honorable Moses Kimanzi. God bless you. Mary Wanjiru is with us. Lois is saying it's only God who knows what's going on and only Him who will deliver us. I agree with you, Lois. Wakimaniz is watching, Betty Akoko, and then of course Happy says, I agree with you. It seems they don't want to give us a solution because of their motive and their greedy heart. That's why they are fighting over this crisis. Only God knows. We have Ruth Njoki Kimani. Becky is actually watching. Becky, God bless you. Question is, the prayers we are making, do they align to God's will? Let's listen to the spirit man in us. True politics are taking a center stage in this whole fiasco. We're in a preparation stage as disciples of Christ as we get what God is saying. And then, of course, Lois Kemboy says COVID-19 is a big scam. We have Titus Tike Musa with us, Elijah Edienge. Happy says they're using Corona to colonize us. May God forbid in Jesus' name. Felix Simiu is with us. And then Letitia, so okay, so the sociological impact, just quoting again from what David was saying, is immeasurable as compared to the clinical impact. I believe the answer lies with the problem. Innovation is key. Following, amazing. That is Felix. And then we have Nelson Dega and Cynthia Sinzi Ombasa who are watching. Guys, I'm actually continually curious, because sometimes we take some things and probably assume them, but I'm just wondering, clearly speaking, what does Magufuli know that we don't know? Is either an idiot who is such a fool that he doesn't know what he's doing at all, or there is something he knows that we do not know? Because truth be told, I'm sure there's some corona in Tanzania. But if people were dying like Melinda Gates was prophesying, surely somebody, the information would have leaked to us that people are dropping dead all over in Tanzania. And every time you see him holding meetings, nobody is wearing a mask, nobody is keeping social distance, and I'm not saying we don't do that. Please don't get me wrong. I'm just wondering, what is different? What has Tanzania done that we have not done? Is it just faith? Because Magufuli really seems to, quote unquote, people just bring God into this mix, bring God into this, into this story. What is it? I don't know, guys. I don't know that you've done your research or done your questions. Know your friends in Tanzania, Michelle. I would love to know. And I seem to have lost Kokonya. I think his sound was still giving him trouble. But I would love to know what clearly is happening in Tanzania.
If anything, let me just say on the record, if anything happens in Tanzania, it will happen in Kenya. Mm-hmm. So if nothing is happening in Kenya, it's not happening in Tanzania.
I would like to say this, Reverend.
Yes.
I hear you, Anata. But I just like to say this, when the cases in Kenya were like 2 people, 5 people, there were no donations coming to Kenya. Until the time, the government now declared that by this time we'll have about 10,000 people. Then our flight, to some extent, went to some of those countries that we don't want to mention, and it came back. And the numbers began to escalate. And the moment the numbers began to escalate, money started coming from Akina Gitao's side. Money started coming from the US side. Money started coming from different places to tunes of billions and billions and billions. But when Magufuli refused refused that he is not going to, to listen to what is going on, refused the money that was being given. We did not hear, these COVID things being mentioned left, right, and center. And then he said, by the way, why should we shut down churches? And when we pray, we have this confidence God hears. But apparently the countries that, quote unquote, are called Christian countries, they shut down the doors of the churches. They no longer believe. Our fathers of faith are hiding. Whatever we used to see in terms of them being out there declaring stuff, they are hiding. Where do you expect the members to go right now? The members will not even have also faith because they've been looking at you. So I think what Magufuli did was like, guys, let's continue praying. If this God is God, he will sort us out. But we are not going to accept some blood money from a different country just to be able to sacrifice that happen. And I think, and for me, Kenya needs to change its tune, because right now, as Michelle was saying, people are building COVID houses. They're buying COVID chambers. In fact, I heard the other day, there is lots and lots of billions of Kenya shillings that are going to overseas because they don't want them to be traced right here. I'm wondering if the economy is going down, where are people getting money? Floods are skyrocketing from left, right, and center. People have never built like right now. So I'm really wondering, what is happening? Are people sharing this money, or what is going on?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And I think it's interesting. A friend of mine works in the housing field as a salesperson, and she was telling us this is the season they have sold the most units, and it's a huge company that is building in the. Yeah, she's like, we've never sold as much as we've sold in this COVID season, and all of you know that this has been a very tough season for many people. So there is a story that we are not being told.
So people are laundering money by construction, buying houses, and I mean, to be honest, corruption and people eating this COVID money is really an open book. I mean, it's a known story. I've got a friend who's been working with some of the bodies that have been involved in terms of either transporting food and sharing and so on and so forth. And he saw some of the most ridiculous budgets that you will ever see, because I mean, the figures that were being quoted, even figures for a cup of tea, just we are doing a meeting and you're just doing tea, they are to come at 12 million. I mean, seriously speaking, figures that are crazy. You wonder, and if you try to raise a finger, you literally are like, if you care about your life, you better shut up. And so, I mean, really, this is something I don't know. Of course, we are leaders, and there are people that are looking at us to just do something, either talk or do, I don't know. But we just shut up and just do nothing. Muzembi. Then tunyamaza tu tulenge story na tukae tu. Yani unaona Wakenya wanakufa na pesa inamwagwa hapa ya kuwasaidia for whatever reason, lakini hiyo pesa pia inakulwa. Kuna possibility kwamba kuna dawa inaitwa hydroxychloroquine ambayo inaponya, na kuna mtu anashughulika kuwapatia watu wapone, na tunaangalia tu. Is that seriously, is that what we need to do, Michael?
Well, and 2 points I'll make over here, and for me, so like at Papa Center, when we used to run discipleship classes, I used to teach a class called God and Justice. And the fact of the matter is, and I always used to tell people, if God judged Israel for the evils they did, and yet Kenya fits the exact pattern, who do we think we are that we will escape the hand of the Lord? Do we think that our prayers will save us, and yet we are still doing the very things that Ezekiel chapter 28 talks about? Jeremiah 22, they tell us there are 6 trillion Kenya shillings in Cayman Islands, offshore accounts by Kenyans. Kenyans are the richest billionaires in the world, but it's just that they cannot bring out their money to be accounted for, you know. So at the rate at which we are eating this thing, you know, the other day 50 billion was released. They said only 7 billion has gotten down to the population. The other $43 billion, hiyo imeingia kwa mfuko ya mse, ya wase. Sasa, yani mpaka hata mende zina complain. Yani hata hatuachivi kitu yoyote.
2022.
2022 is knocking at the door, eh?
Yani hata mende zinasema, "Ai Buddha," you know, the saying is no longer as poor as a church mouse. It is as poor as a Kenyan mende.
What do you think we should do?
So one thing the second point I wanted to make was, Magufuli studied chemistry in the University of Nairobi. He has his PhD in chemistry. So he's a pharmacist. He's a pharmacist, pharmaceutical, whatever. He has this knowledge. The fact of the matter, gentlemen, is that we will all be exposed to this virus. The way a virus works is that a virus has to go through our immune systems. You see what I'm saying? So a virus has to go through our immune systems. There are those who will be asymptomatic. That means they are not showing any symptoms, but it does not mean that they are not contagious. They are contagious. It's just that they themselves, it is not affecting them, but they are shedding it. They are giving it out. Then there are those who are pre-symptomatic. But the reason why we are masking up, the reason why we are, you know, social distancing and all that is to slow it down, not to stop it and delay it, so that we give time for the pharmaceutical companies, we give time for them to go through their phase trials, for them to do all this, so that, as they say, by 2022, they will have at least something on the table. But we will all be a virus, for it to spend its energy, has to affect the population, and we will all be exposed to it. What Magufuli understands is whether ni kama, what is it called? Kama homa, Unajua saa zingine homa, wachilia tu ikuje. Ikuchape vile itakuchapa, and in a week's time you're fine. Rather than take all these medicines and try and fight it, and then you stay 60 days rather than 10 days. Magufuli understands, you know what, let this thing go through the Tanzanian population, itubambe vile itatubamba, ituchape vile itatuchapa, wale watakufa, wale watasucceed, but we will come out of this COVID faster than all these other nations that are masking and social distancing and because they will still eventually and inevitably be affected. So that's what he understands, you see. And truth be told, Tanzanians are going to come out of this thing faster than any other African nation, if that's the route they've chosen. It may look like a steep up.
Gamble has paid off.
Yes. It may look, the curve may look steeper for Tanzania right now, but by 2020 December hawa watakuwa sawa. Na si bado tutakuwa tukiambiwa curve yenyu inakuja August. Si August, sasa ni December. Sasa ni 2021 March. Sasa ni September 2020. Hey, Buddha.
Kama umeka wanted. Kama umeka wanted jamaa. Ndio tuchapwe saa hii ishe. Hata tuchapwe ishe. When I was growing up.
No, I mean, honestly, I've watched crowds in Tanzania. I mean, you're talking thousands of people crowded together. And they are like, what are you talking about? Church. What are you talking about? No, naendelea, life inaendelea. So nashindo, watu drop dead Tanzania wako wapi? Sisi na kwani Tanzania ni dunia nyingine kama sio hapa. Na ni hapa tu unaweza tembea na mguu. Unaofika na urudi. I mean, seriously. Anyways, let me appreciate the likes of Lawrence Mao too was logging in, and some couple of comments from Lois. Magufuli has shown an extraordinary faith, and I think that's what God requires. God is protecting TZ. Dixon Thuo logged in and is watching. God bless you, Dixon. Ruth Joki Kimani says they already have a cure, Thor on trial, which has been used until the donor spoke. And then Nyamaingi is watching. Richard Chogo should have been here. He's watching. These people building flats with COVID-19 money will die like chicken, leaving these flats behind. That Alois Kembo is really very, very bitter. Dixon, it's a shame. God bless, God help us. Happy says, truth be told, Magufuli knows the secret. It's only that he knows his God well. Then, of course, Richard Chogo says, my gang, I've missed this. Yes, you have. You can log in, Richard. You still have the link. Come on. Julius Wachania is watching. And Richard Chogo says, system ya majambas. And kweli hiyo ni system ya majambas hapa. Happy says, karibu rep. Jagemi says, missing this conversation, guys, speak as it is. Thank you very much. Ukweli Rev Chogo. Lots of comments coming. Keep them coming, guys, as we go towards the tail end of our conversation today. We started off late, so we're going to be wrapping up in a while. But guys, something is funny, because me, what I have kept on seeing, and it's okay, we can actually finish this conversation around here. Every time I see is like what they are working hard to develop is a vaccine, not a cure. Am I the only one who has noticed that? Because I've seen a lot has everything to do with the vaccine. For me, a vaccine prevents. Get out. I mean, are you seeing anything? Because I would love to hear, okay, fine, we think this thing can cure. And we used to hear that, but right now, there seems to be a clear effort to create a vaccine. Could it be the history of Bill Gates and his cahoots is a true story? You want everybody vaccinated and something, I don't know.
We are living in interesting times, Pastor, because the challenge we have now is, as my favorite person in the world, Arsene Wenger used to say, we are living in a world when everybody has got an opinion.
Yes.
And you cannot listen to everybody's opinion. So the challenge is that previously, the life we used to have before social media is that we would have established channels that used to be broadcasting information. And that information would be verified. There would be under strict rules as to how to deal with that information.
Yes.
With the advent of social media, everybody who thinks they've got an opinion can publish it without it being verified. So there's a lot of information that is being sent around that is becoming very, very difficult to verify. Now, I've forgotten what your question was because
I'm just walking. By the way, Richie just showed up. Richie karibu sana.
I'm having a senior moment.
No, I'm just saying what we are seeing a lot. What seems to be the
oh, you're talking about virus. Yes.
As opposed to a cure.
So the thing with virus, and correct me, those of you who might know more science than I do, but for viral infections, you can't treat viral infection. You deal with trying to reduce the impact of the body. You try to boost the body to beat the virus itself. So when you've got a bacterial infection or bacterial, you're given antibiotics. But with viral infection, you're trying to build up your immunity. So that's why, they're trying to look for a vaccine to try and build up people's immunity. And with time, I believe it will be found. I mean, the Oxford trials were positive. Early days yet, but they were positive. There was a lot of noise from Kenya, so they moved from Kenya, they went to South Africa and Brazil. So that's where they have been trialing the virus.
Uko wana vaccinate watu?
Yeah.
Uko ndo wanadunga watu vaccination?
That's where they started the trial for the vaccine, because they wanted to start it in Kenya, but because of the noise and the...
No, so Oxford?
Yeah, even Oxford, they've done it.
Okay.
They They registered about 1,000. There were more people who signed up. I signed up as well, but they didn't. I was excluded because they had more people than they wanted. But they tried it now. It's also been tried in Brazil, and it's also being tried in South Africa.
Okay.
So,
waiting. But hydroxychloroquine and zinc, I heard, according to how it works, is like there's certain, I don't know, perspectives of the virus that it actually kind of just neutralizes, that doesn't affect the body. And that's why this is actually very effective when it's used. So, is that a vaccine? Is that a cure?
Now you people are asking me. I am not a representative of this company.
Yes.
Neither am I advocating.
You're not in their pay.
I am not in their pay, but I think the thing with being in the public and working in the public as a public officer or in the government, whichever part of the world you are in, the biggest currency that you need as a public official, and the same applies to us as pastors because we're public officials to some extent, is not popularity, but it is trust. That people can trust you even if they don't agree with you. So I know a lot of people have got great sympathy and not just sympathy, but great support, for instance, for the current president or even our current prime minister. But for me, and maybe this I'll throw it so that people can fight me, one of the things I respected people like Tony Blair, people like Barack Obama, is the ability to win trust even with people who disagree with you. When you are at the top of whether it's public leadership, pastoral leadership, political leadership, spiritual leadership, you have to operate in such a way that people who disagree with you say they can still trust you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our current prime minister, and I would also add to say, possibly some of the African leaders, as well as probably the current presidential person sitting in the state, is that ability. Can you win over people who you disagree with? That to me, because the problem with all of this COVID is there's a lot of information that's being circulated, and people it's not that people don't trust it, so people are questioning it.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult to know where is the truth lying in this whole thing. And the simple reason is this: we all are struggling to trust the people who are giving out this information. And that, to me, I submit, the lesson for me I learned from this as a leader is the ability when I'm leading people to know, can these people trust me? So that whatever you stand to say, I don't have a big congregation. Some of you might have big congregations, but when you stand up to speak and you are directing people to move in a particular direction, people can forward because they trust you. That's what I saw in those leaders. They faced huge dilemmas when they were leading the country. They made controversial decisions that people don't agree with, and that's another topic we can get to, which we shouldn't. But the ability to win over people, and people can trust you, even when they have a different, possibly political persuasion, or they are looking at something from a different perspective, but they can trust you.
Okay, guys. It looks there's a lot around here, and I just want you guys to prepare your closing comments around this subject. As I appreciate those that logged in, like the likes of Janet and Mathew, and then of course Leah Kelly and Cynthia Sinziombasa says, interesting to know that Magufuli is a promisist and that throws a spanner into the works. We keep praying that God will expose the workers of iniquity. Yes, we are. Then we have Catherine Olumosi, Elias Getonga, Joseph K. Ndebwa, Sharon Caesar, Letitia Soke says, viruses are not curable. Agreeing with you, actually, Gitao, but they are managed. And then, of course, with Stanley Mureithi, who joined in. And of course, as Gitonga says, wax virology cartels. You know, precisely, well said, Reverend Gates. Well, eti kuanzia Kenya vaccine, no way. That is one lady saying, wacha waanze huko Oxford na South Africa, sisi tutakuja baadaye. Tina and Evangelist Reverend Maangi are watching. Can the people trust you despite of differences in opinion? Kind of just echoing what you were saying, guys. I mean, I think we've been away for too long and we have too much to share. But I think this is a hot potato. And trust me, some of these are the questions in the minds of people out there, and even some people that we lead, you know, wanting to know clearly what is going on. Why can't we seem to see some positive you know, I would rather the Kenya government took hydroxychloroquine, took it to Cambridge, tested it big time, you know, in vis-a-vis what everybody's saying, and come up with an official position. This is the Kenyan position, that this thing causes arrhythmias, this thing can't work, this thing blah, 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 as opposed to waiting for Fauci and Gates to tell us that it can't work. I mean, that to me is just by Richie. Karibu sana. Let's have you say something before we wrap it up. It's great to have you just pop in last minute. Great timing. Let's just have you say something, and then we will be just hearing from everyone else, just your closing comments. And then, of course, we'll have Michelle tell us something because he wants to go. And then we'll wrap it up for the night. We started off a little bit late, but I really appreciate just the matter we've been able to do today. Go on, Richie.
Si hao watu wangesema alafu ndo nijue kitu nitasema.
Hakuna shida na kwa time. No problem. Michelle, Richie anapika. You know, he's putting... Na ukuja na njumu maliza na hiyo mkutano ingine.
Anapikia nani? Tushashiba. Sasa amekuja wakati tushashiba. Hiyo chakula yake ile tusaidia sana. Angepakua tu ile dessert tu tunahitaji sasa. Alafu tuende zetu. But I want to close by saying this. You know, there are a lot of things, listening to all these things that people are talking about and what we can never know because of cartels that are there, because of half-truths, half-baked things. And actually it's painful that we cannot get an official position as a nation because of all that. But what comes into my head, and that's where my prayer is, what God says in the book of Hebrews, you know, allow me just to read this quick because I think it brings some element of this. What I want to bring across, that it is Hebrews chapter 4 verse 13 says, and there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all things are naked and open to the eyes of him to whom we must give account. God sees all this, and there's a lot of things that we may never know, but God will reveal everything at some point. And what caught my attention when sometime I was doing a study about this word, this portion of scripture, is when the word open, actually it's a military term. That word that everything is naked and open to the eyes. What actually it means, it is exposing the gullet, just like you expose it when you want to cut off the head of chicken. It is exposing the gullet to finish the animal. So I am sure when the Bible says that nothing is hidden and everything is naked and open before him, whatever we may not understand or whatever appears to be a monster right now, God says, I will expose the gullet and cut it off. At some point, every conspiracy will be brought out. And if the people are cooking things up to kill people, enjoying blood money, God is watching and is about to expose all this. That will be my punchline.
Okay, thank you very much, Michelle. David?
Thank you. Just listening to this conversation brings me to a place where I really want to ask myself and ask ourselves as a continent that prides itself as being one of the final frontiers of, development and being seen as such and as a threat. We have the youngest population. We have the greatest natural resources. We have, a huge population as well. So it's young and huge, and resources are resident here. when will we ever think for ourselves? And when will we also appreciate them that think within the confines of our continent? If we were to lock down and just cut off the conversations of Fauci and all those guys and say, let us think as Africa. We have pharmacists, we have biologists, we have medical doctors, we have scientists who have been raised in our universities, which I believe are competent enough, because I've seen many medical doctors go and work in the UK, work in the US, work in Australia, and they are hotcakes. Our nurses are being churned out, going all those ways. So how come with all this brilliance, we cannot sit down and say, okay, guys, listen, let's figure it out for ourselves and deal with our issue here. Let us find out what is of critical importance for ourselves and address it. It's interesting that many people who have been demonizing Magufuli don't know that he's a chemistry major up to PhD. So we think he's just a believer. Yet he can sit in that lab and do what many of us did not even do with titration in Form 3 successfully. He's gone all the way. Yeah. And the guys who are actually shooting him down are people in our continent who have not reached his level of education, his level of competence. He even has an honorary degree from University of Dodoma because of the way he has improved the economy in Tanzania, because of his work has been very successful. Right now, we are looking at him and saying, oh, Magufuli is only praying. But when a PhD graduate is praying, it's very different from when a high school struggler is praying. You know, by the time a PhD guy is telling you, let's pray, he has something in his mind that has told him, this thing is not going to work in that way. Yeah. And when we are discussing this, we are all speaking very incompetently about it, because all of us have not reached. If I had a PhD in chemistry, and as a pastor now I'm speaking, it's a very different ballgame from me who has a master's in leadership. All right? So why are we shooting down a guy who his field is in question because of conversations in another continent that has a different experience with this thing? Because Africa is having a different experience with it. So that is the second thing I want to say. We have the economy, we have the resources, we have the brain, we have the numbers, and we have the youth on our side. And God has been gracious enough to allow us not to be hit hard by this thing. Let us think for ourselves and take this thing forward. I like what Gitao said, trust. And unfortunately, our corruption, and I remember when this thing began, I said there are two C's in this country that will finish us. One is Corona, and the other is corruption. But Corona will only finish us if corruption thrives. And I'm seeing corruption taking this country down rather than Corona. Thank you.
Wow. Mike, what's your kicker?
Yes. Yeah, you can hear me, eh?
Absolutely.
Yes, and I want to reiterate, especially, I was just listening to Ewagata, and I completely agree with him on so many fronts. One is him talking about, Africa right now has the greatest agrarian land remaining. We have the greatest minerals. Congo right now, they say, has enough minerals to every of our processors in our smartphones. The raw material comes from Congo. You can imagine how many smartphones there are in this world. All of that raw material comes from Congo, Zambia. They say that Nigeria has the oil that needs the least refinement. I mean, that thing does not require as much refinement as the ones from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran. So Africa, the second largest continent, the highest population, why aren't we where we can make changes? It all boils down to leadership. I mean, one thing that is not working for us is that, and I don't know, but they say 70% of Kenya's population is a rural population. They don't live in cities. They are not urbanized. So of necessity, we are a tribal nation. You understand what I'm saying? So Kalis will always vote Kali. Cows will always vote cow. You know, Kikuyus will always vote Kikuyus because 70% of us live in shags brought up on our ancestral land, and we understand our Kisi better than, you know, so it becomes very hard to develop when we have leaders, because that is the population that votes the leaders into play. We are talking about least educated, and they come up here and they're trying to evolve us to try and compete internationally when you have a rural mindset. So it becomes very difficult. And now, pan it across Africa, where Yorubas will only vote Yorubas. Igbos will only vote Igbos, you know. The Fulani will only vote the Fulanis. And compound this thing to Africa. The Muzungu will always, you know, and now the Muzungu is giving over to the Chinese who are worse. You know, the Chinese man does not have a moral compass. He's willing to play your game. At least the Muzungu had a little bit of a moral compass. But what I'm trying to say is, unless we change our mindsets, and that's what I've been praying for Africa, for God to raise leaders who have a nationalistic mindset. Magufuli has a nationalistic mindset. His love, compassion, devotion is for Tanzania, not for his tribe. If we don't do that in Kenya, I tell you, I was looking at some other economies here the other day, and if we don't change in at least the next 10, 15 years, Kenya tutazungukwa. Because Kagame is doing wonders with his nation. I mean, Kagame is no joke. Magufuli is no joke. Right now, they are saying in the next, 5 to 7 years, if we don't change, Dar es Salaam will be a much more effective port than Mombasa. Much more. And cheaper. So much more cheaper. You know? So right there, we can already see, you know, but our corruption rate, you know, we are number 160 out of the 176 most corrupt countries. Kenya iko pale 160. Yeah? Tumeshikania na Nigeria. Tumeshikania na Nigeria, you know. So may God raise us leaders who love their nation, and we will see a change in this nation. If God raises, and he will. So I'm asking myself, in this COVID, what is God speaking to our nation? And what is God demanding of our nation? Because judgment begins with the house of the Lord. Yeah.
Well, thank Ken. Martin short.
Yeah, I just like to say this and borrow some words from Miles Monroe, who said, how you define yourself is the single most important statement you can make about yourself. Because by the end of it all, we must, as Kenyans, refuse to be defined by other countries. We must refuse to be defined by our current state. We cannot continue to call ourselves, you know, the third world country and what have you. We must refuse to live beneath our privileges as Kenyans. And we need to begin to self-define ourselves, because there's a lot within Kenya. You know, we've seen a lot of innovations within Kenya and what have you. And if we can be able to believe in ourselves and begin something, you know, without allowing other outside forces to affect us, then Kenya shall begin to rise to the top. But the current leadership also, the only way they can enable the Kenyans to rise to the top is when they also begin to self-define themselves, rather than allowing cultures and traditions and different people from different parts of this world to define them. That's what I would say for now. Thank you.
Then we'll have Richie giving us his parting shot or his contribution today.
Thank you, Matthew. I mean, where do we start? Everybody's mentioned something about things that need to change in Africa, so I don't need to add anything new. I echo what Michael is saying. Perhaps I will just conclude by saying that, you know, it starts with us. It doesn't start with outside. The reason why the West exploits Africa is because Africa itself does not respect itself. That exactly is where it starts. Once you start to respect yourself, then the West will take a step back. I was incredibly frustrated a couple of years. Either it was the end of Kibaki's reign or at the beginning of Uhuru's reign, where I was talking to some friends from Africa, and they were saying, now, we have cancelled all the Land Rover contracts, and we're now going east to China. That has been the worst decision African leadership has ever made, the decision to move east. Because as Michael has said, China has got no respect for human rights. They've got no sense of morality. They do not care. And to move from the Western sort of colonialism and then to submit ourselves to that kind of system, the only reason we have done that is because the West will allow you to steal, but within limits.
Okay.
China does not care what you're stealing, because what they are getting from you, you will never pay back.
Yeah.
And that's the fear for Africa. I think it was the one that I have got great fear for what we have sold Africa to the Chinese. This thing will cost us.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we will walk out of it, how we will. I mean, how many times, I'm sorry I'm going on, how many times do we hear people preaching and telling our own congregations, debt is a bad thing? And we have prostituted ourselves as African governments to such unsustainable levels of debt to the Chinese. I mean, the West, you'll come to a point where people are having the Jubilee pressure in the year 2000 for the West to get rid or to forgive African debt. I'm looking forward to somebody who will start a campaign to tell the Chinese to forgive African debt. It is never going to happen. So I don't know. We must, where do we start? We must start by denying ourselves as leadership, showing a true example of denial, because leadership is not a position of privilege.
No.
And enriching ourselves. The moment, and I think it will take a generation. I think, our parents' generation will not see a prosperous Africa. We may see the beginning of a prosperous Africa if we ourselves put those things in place now. But I fear that it may be too late. I hope I am wrong.
I hope so too, Gitao. I hope so too, because to be told, and these Chingus one, first and foremost, Corona came from them.
Now they have run away from Africa.
And it's costing us billions and costing us all kinds of trouble. But they cooked it in their labs and unleashed it to us. No wonder Trump is giving them an invoice. Germany was trying to give them an invoice and others. But, I mean, seriously, how far are you going to go with that? Richie, great to have you on board. I know you had a meeting, but just say 1, 2 words. Man, we have been trying to wrestle with this African thing here and wondering why they are not giving us hydroxychloroquine to treat this thing and tunafanya immunity inakuwa sawa.
Hebu muulize alikuwa mkutano ya kusaidia Trump ama mkutano gani alikuwa?
Kitu lazima tushinde bwana. No, we must win. Mimi nakwambia lazima tushinde hii kitu bwana. Sikizeni, it will be a big mistake if hawa watu wanaitwa Democrats watachukua. Tutaumia sana hii dunia. Mimi nawaambia. Mnaongea kuhusu Chinese. Hawa watu wanaleta Marxism, wanaleta vitu vingine. Anyway, wacha tu. Najua Gitao hapo.
Hiyo unaanza kunitayarisha na masaa za Mathew zimeisha.
Sawa. Sasa wacha tu nichangie mambo ya Africa for today. Tumeambiwa corona, alafu the second one was what, Wagata? Ilikuwa corona, Chinese na
Corruption.
Oh. Haikuwa Chinese. Okay, corona.
Ongeza Chinese pia. Pia na kamvibaya. Ongeza Chinese.
Watu unajua hii Zoom pia ni hao, ni mmoja wao alitengeza hii Zoom. Wanaweza kuwa so
ongea Sheng.
Machinku. Sasa corona, corruption, and then there's another word that mimi sijui tutafanyaje, inaitwa complacency. Nimeona kwa in complacency. Hii ni problem is that 2022 it will either be Ruto or somebody else from the other gang that will be the president. You can almost go to bed with that, because we have already decided that's the kind of leadership we want. Yeah. And yet we know these guys are corrupt. These guys are, the whole lot of them have issues, but we are okay with that. We are okay with mwizi wetu. We are okay with muwaji wetu. We are okay with, and that's called complacency. Hiyo kitu sijui tutafanya nini until we become tired, tukasirike, na sijui nini itatukasirisha. Wacha watuibie. Mi naomba wacha watuibie mpaka tuteseke kabisa, tukasirike, because pain makes a man to think and thinking makes a man wise. Mimi ningewaambia watu wakina wako kwa serikali saizi, ibeni mpaka wa Kenya waumie kabisa, ndio pengine there will be a turnaround. Honestly, because sasa tutawapigia tukura. We are campaigning for them on social media. Mtu amesoma education, ameenda university, ana campaign for some of these fellows. How would you campaign for these people? How would you campaign for anyone who is in Uru's government right now? Should not be in the next government. Should not. We should not. Anyone who is in the opposition right now alongside Raila Odinga should not be in the next government.
Yeah.
Because they are party to our problems. Complacency. Yeah. Tukasirike. Ni hayo tu machache. Kwa vile naweza kuja kutafutwa na Probox hapa nje.
Hizo 2 cents is a power, Mazi. Hizo 2 cents is a power.
Ule wapele kwa Magufuli huyu ndiye alikataa mambo ya wachingu kabisa, alikataa msaada yao, akasema tutajenga na vitu, alikuwa hata kumpejengea port I had, akasema tutaki hiyo pesa mnaitisha cheni.
Yes.
Well guys, man, wow, I mean it's been a long, and I didn't think this would take that long. I thought we could jump onto something a bit more more directional, if you may. Yeah, Mike is saying still till reaches the brim, and then God will judge. Mama mia, watu wa Mungu waibe richi mpaka washibe kabisa, wamalize wafie kila kitu, alafu sasa baadaye sasa tukasirike.
Tukasirike bwana,
tumajichome kama huko Tunisia. Ni Tunisia
hapana, mpaka watupe tear gas vile Mjaluo anasemanga, hakuna riot kama hakuna tear gas na rungu na dogi.
Reverend Mathew, I would like to say this. Just give me a second, because to be very sincere, this time round, those prayers
okay, say that again.
Yes. Those prayers that we've been making, to be very sincere, there is no dustbin of prayers in heaven. You're going with it. This time, people, the way we are being told, people will drop like flies. Very key, powerful people in Kenya shall start dropping down because of stealing. And it will be a lesson to many that they cannot continue to steal again. You can't put the lives of Kenyans on the altar of corruption, simply because you want to reach yourself. And you have attained an age whereby even if we give you the collective amount of money you've ever stolen, you can't eat. Even your children cannot even eat. None of them is going to enjoy this. I guarantee this time round, you will see God.
Kuna vile ataka kudrop kama flies. I've had a good number of you guys say something like that. Well, may the Lord turn things around. That's our prayer. May the Lord, whether it means these people dying, whether it means going, I don't know why, whether it means getting our own Magufuli of sorts, whether it is, whatever it takes. Like Ken says, I agree, there is no dustbin of prayers, and our prayers, by the grace of God, are hitting somewhere. There is going to be a reaction. There's going to be God answering those prayers. Well, gentlemen, it's been a great discussion that we're having. We are back again, and there's so much more that and ideally this is to just pass on information, sharpen one another, and provoke one another into what direction can we go, and where can we get involved also as pastors and leaders. We're people that we lead. We have a congregation. People listen to us, and we can influence their thinking in a certain direction. And as much as those groups may look small, but there's still going to be an impact, and something can get started up that can turn a nation around, that can literally manifest God's kingdom in a nation as ours, and then can change the situation. I want to say thank you so much, guys. The wisdom you bring on the table, and your bluntness, your frankness, and just speaking it as it is absolutely appreciated. And at this point, I want to appreciate also those that have been following the discussion, the likes of Happy, who is now a top fan actually of this, and then the likes of Kemboy and others, that have been on kind of just following this today. God bless you so much. We will be back on Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Today we started off a little bit late because we had another meeting, but we're going to be back on Wednesday, 8 o'clock as usual, and there's more coming. At the end of it all, we want to keep on provoking your mind and provoking your thinking towards a certain direction, because we desire to see change, not only in our churches, but even in our nation as well, and it shall come. And we want to be part of that change. We are the people that have said we will not keep quiet. Even if it's talking here and impacting, touching, influencing 1, 2, 3 people that watch and listen to us, we're going to do this every time until something begins to change and something begins to happen. I want to say thank you so much, David. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, Richie, for popping in, even as much as popping in, came in a bit late. Totally appreciate it. Thank you, Gitao. I appreciate Michelle was there earlier on, and Kokonyo that had to leave a little bit. Otherwise, guys, thank you so much. And guys in the studio, God bless you. Totally appreciate your good work. Again, from all of our viewers and those that have been tuned in, is from me, Reverend Mathew Wambua, tuning off and hoping, praying, and trusting to see you on Wednesday next week. Otherwise, for me, God bless you. Have yourselves a great night. We'll see you later.